Welcome, my friends. This is video number 4. Oh, and I am ready to show you some of the things that I've been working on, and we'll just continue. Okay. So you've seen the outside. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, ooh, so pretty. Okay. We'll open it up here and here, and I'll show you what I have done. I took the piece of warm and white and I have lined it, and I have created 2 side pockets. See, you can even see my line where I drew on the inside, but that will be stitched across here, and so that will create a little pocket right there. I just think this is really pretty. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is what I want to do on this side, okay? And if I do that, whatever I do here, I want to do that before I stitch this pocket down, because once the pocket is stitched down, and this just folded, and that's, you know, I have a few monk tendencies. Oh. And I even cleaned up my desk, you guys. I couldn't stand it anymore. Oh dear, that's terrible. Okay, what I was saying, whatever decorating I'm going to do or embellishing, I'm going to do it before I stitch the pocket down. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a pocket. It would just be stitched through, which, if, you know, that's the look you're going for, that's great. So I'm considering doing that, and I ripped 2 pieces so that I could do that. It's just a matter of, you know, kind of it's, and I don't know what I did with the list that I had here when I cleaned up my studio. I don't know what I did with that, but I want to have a little notebook. I want to have a pencil. I want to have a seam ripper. I want to have pins. I want needles. I want perhaps some safety pins, maybe a few little decorative touches here and there. Let me show you a couple of things. You saw this. Now this can be folded neatly or just the square. I mean, I could put this stitch here and have, or, well, stitch this way and have this open for needles or safety pins or whatever, or I could stitch it this way and have the same thing. So that's a good possibility, okay? Let me move that off. And here's just a piece of fabric that I have ripped, and then I have folded over in half, and I have just stitched around it, and that gives it a little bit of body. And I can also stitch something like this across, down, and this gives me lots of pinning capabilities here. And that interests me a lot as well. And there's another little thread from that. I could go ahead and do that kind of thing here. I don't have to cover up my stitching lines. That's definitely not a have to. I could, on that kind of a situation, I could do something like this, stitch here and stitch up there, and then have this kind of layered and have this, you know, this flops up and this flops up, you know, So there's that possibility. I'm just giving you possibilities, you guys, because I want you to be thinking. I want you to really, get your stuff out, and I want you to do some embellishing and get some of those papers and fabrics and things that you think you might want to use. And I haven't actually brought in any paper yet, have I? Oh, well, that's just wrong. Okay, so I did have this, didn't I? Okay. So this is also from a digital from my little store, but I decided I stitched 2 of the pages together and then added this little image on top, and now I have a little notebook. I just created a little notebook, and I love this. So I think that this is going to go in my front pocket here, and then I will stitch another pocket, and I don't know if I'll have room for my seam ripper and a little pencil, or if I'll do that separately. But I got that done. And I just, I have this amazing old Singer attachment, the whole book, and it's falling apart. But I did manage to get it all copied, and scanned in, so that, if that's something that interests you, or any little booklet. It doesn't have to be, it certainly doesn't have to be with my images. Okay, and then again, like I had mentioned before, I could do something like this here. Let's do this. And I can very easily stitch this to that and have this. That'd be kind of cool too, wouldn't it? See, there's a plethora of options for you to look at, think about, and just kind of play with. Keeping in mind, I want to keep turning to the front, okay? I want to turn to the front to take a look at that and make sure that this is all fitting in with this. And I think I'm going to take this out because it's pretty dark for this application. This is real grungy. It's real. And I actually took all these. I took the picture. I scanned the picture of this card. And then I took all of these buttons off. And I'll show you. Here's the actual buttons. Look at that. Isn't that cool? These are old. But this is another thing that I did, so I want to tell you a little bit about that. I purchased, and I honestly can't remember because it's been a couple of years ago, but if you go on Etsy and just type in sewing digitals, there will be sellers there that you can purchase, or maybe you have your own, but little button cards that I've made. And I wanted to show you different ways of using the button cards. This is with a piece of white felt, and I have stitched, hand sewn the buttons on, and then I've just glued across the top here. So that's what this looks like. The next one I did with a little piece of muslin and sewed the buttons on. And so it's thinner, a little more floppy. This is a little heavier. Just depends upon the look that you want. And then I did with the buttons just directly onto a card, okay? And for that, what I used was, just a moment, my handy little awl, okay? So, Here's another. This is an antique button. I mean, these are just really cool. But I'm not going to because this is already done. But to make the hole, I would just wiggle nicely on a surface that I'm not going to punch my fingers, right? I'd have this down and then just wiggle that till it punches through, and then I would put my button on and see where I want the holes, and I would put this down through the eye of the hole on the button and do that. And if you want to, what you can do before is you can use a pen and put your buttons where you want them and mark that with a pen or a pencil, and then take your awl and work to clear, to make a good hole. Then you could stitch it. But aren't these just fun? And then here's the last one that I did on a button card, an antique button card that I had. And this is just cool. Okay, so those are possibilities. And I definitely want some of these. I'll probably put all of these cards in the needle book. All right. So we've got this, and we've got these prepared. And I just made, just because I could, remember the little house that I showed you in, I don't know if it was video 1 or 2. And I just decided to make a pincushion out of one. I made the little house, and what I can do with this, if I want, I can use a bulb pin and just pin it, or a regular safety pin, or a decorative pin, or something, and pin this little pin cushion into my needle book. So, okay, that's where I'm at so far. So now I'm going to make those hard decisions and come back and show you where I'm continuing to go with this. And I hope that you'll be gathering and doing, and maybe you're already ready. And the next segment, I'm going to turn the video off. It's all in this video, but I'm going to turn it off now so I can decide what I'm going to do and do some stitching and gluing, and then I will be back. Okay, I am showing you something that I'm in the process of doing, and I started already, and then I thought, oh, you might want to know how to do this as well. So I stopped it. I have this gorgeous pair of antique embroidery scissors, and I'm going to include this in the needle book. And I will probably list this in my Etsy store when I'm done with it, although, well, I'm not 100% sure. But I bought these. They're just nice, heavy, just gorgeous. I just love them. And so I wanted to include it, but let me show you something. This is another reason why you kind of want to get your ephemera and your supplies, your needle supplies out, because you want to make sure that the pockets and the different things that you're doing are going to work for your supplies. Now, I could put it here on this inside flap, but as you see, it takes up almost the whole room, and it just didn't feel like it was quite big enough. And so I made the decision to put it in the back here. And so this is what I did to do that. There again, this is like gonna be my nemesis. Because here again, when I decided that I wanted to do this, then had this been open, it would have been so simple just to stitch to make it possible for me to put my scissors. Okay, let me show you what I'm doing, what I've done already. On the back, I just folded a piece of deli paper, thin deli paper, just a couple of times, and I just glued it, easily to the back paper to give a little bit of body so that when I stitch here, it's easier. You know, this is really, really floppy, and this is more stable so that it gives a little bit more structure. I want to make this so it's going to last forever, okay? So what I did, and you know, pretend that isn't there. Let's go over here. Okay, so I want to decide where I want to put it. And then I'm going to use either a piece of 1/2-inch stretch elastic, which this looks nice. And then I remembered, aha, I bought from Hobby Lobby again. I love their 50% off. Look at this. And so, because I want it beautiful, I decided to use this instead. Isn't that pretty? So, then I would just take a little piece, about 2.5 inches, somewhere in there, and have it just a little bit open, and putting my scissors in. I want to make sure they're going to fit nicely. If they're too tight, I can't fit them in. If they're too loose, there's no point in having this. They'll just flop out. So you gauge that. And then what I did was zigzagged on both sides, as you can see from the back here. Okay? Now that makes it nice and secure. But, okay, now watch this. My needle book is closed. I've stitched here and I've stitched there. Oh, I've turned it upside down and my scissors just fell out. So, with a little pair of scissors, you need something just a teeny bit extra to give it an extra little snugness so that it will hold up well for you. So this is the part that I'm getting ready to put down, to stitch down now. Okay, so I'm going to stitch on, let's see, let's bring that in a bit. I'm going to stitch down this side and this side, about 1/4 inch in. As you can see, it's puffed up a little bit, but not a lot. And my hope is that when I do it this way with that stitched in, oh crap. Okay, well, maybe that won't work. Well, isn't that okay? All right. Well, that's good to know. Then I don't have to worry about this, but it's kind of cute, right? Okay, then what I need to do, go back to the drawing board. I'm still going to do this because these are sharp and that's going to protect it, you know, from jabbing into here. And in case something happens that I hold this weird or something, I don't want to take a chance of poking me or going through the fabric. So I will still stitch this on, but obviously that's not going to take care of the issue. So what I will do is I will attach a thread or a yarn or a ribbon, something at the top that will attach, or with a little snap or something, so that it's not that easy for these suckers to fall out. It would be different if I put them in this way, perhaps. But this is, you know, this is what I want to do. All right, that's where I'm at, guys. I'm going to go ahead and stitch this. I want to show you one more thing. All right. Whoops, wrong way. Wrong way. I wanted this to show. This gives another layer. Layer, layer, layer. This gives an additional fun layer that adds beauty as well as function. And I think, because I could hide it if I wanted to, it could completely be hidden. I just like it. I think it's pretty. Okay? All right. We will continue on. Continue on. And I hope you got a good chuckle out of these scissors going, woo! I'll be back. Okay, as I am creating, my mess is growing. Let's see. Let me take this out so you can see a little bit. Well, that doesn't show it all, but believe me, it's messy. Okay, I want to catch you up with where I'm at, and hopefully you're making great progress on your little needlebook. Okay, a couple of things that I want to show. I found this adorable handkerchief, and I cut it up. I know, it's this beautiful vintage handkerchief, and I love them, and I use them in my journals, and I love them so much. And I found a spot where I had put some pinks and whites, and it was like, oh my gosh. So of course I had to change what I was doing, and I added this little piece here. I stitched around the outside. I pinked the edges, and then I quilted it. Okay? Look at that texture. Yummy, yummy. Is this the most gorgeous, sweet little flower? Oh, so I had to include it. I mean, you know, what are you going to do? I had to. All right, so that being said, I don't know that I want very much. Let's take that out a little. I don't know that I want to cover this up. I may just want this to shine. I may just put like a little bit of fabric strips coming down here, or a ribbon to put a couple of pretty pins or something of that nature. Something really minimal. And maybe a button. I think I'll probably put a button in the center here as well to give it dimension. But I'm loving this. So with that in mind, I thought, okay, now I'm going to run out of room to put all my goodies in. And so, and I've stitched this down. And what I will do is I will put a little, have a little snap here, and I'll attach this. I also could, if I had wanted to do this, where's my lace? I could have done this and stitched some lace in here to where it would hold it, but I didn't want to cover these up. So that's what I'll do there. Just haven't had a chance to do it yet. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I decided that I'm going to add another little pocket. And where's the liner? Where's the liner? Okay. So I've ripped this the same size. I have a little paper inside to give it stability. So now what I can do, and that will go in the center here. Is this just, oh my gosh, this is getting prettier by the minute. So now I will have 1, 2, 3, 4 extra pages that I can design and make pockets and tuck spots and that type of thing. So I will have plenty to allow me to keep this very simple and beautiful just as it is. Okay, that's where we're at the moment. So we continue. I hope you're continuing. Let's just keep going, guys. no rush. This is just a fun project. Just relax, watch a good movie. I like to watch. I like the English murder mysteries. I don't know why, but I enjoy them. All right, pretty soon I'll be back. I'm in trouble. I thought I was recording, and turns out that my camera was out of room or whatever. And so I did some things here that I thought I was showing you, and it didn't happen. I'm so sorry. But I do have a finished needlebook to show you, finally. Let's see where to start. I was going to show you the inside, as I recall, the pockets. Well, let's just go through it and let me show you what I have done. And hopefully you will be generous and forgive my lack of videoing skills. Okay. I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this. As you can see, I have put my lace that I said, oh, I'm not done. Oh, that's good. I have something. I have something that I was going to add, didn't I? Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm done. So I have bound this with this lace between the two layers. I have used a buttonhole stitch here on my machine. That's not mandatory. You know, you can certainly glue it, but obviously a needlebook, something like this, you really do need to have use of a sewing machine. Okay, so I have created the pockets like I said I was going to do. There's room here. Here's a little pencil. Here's the notebook I showed you previously. Just a fun, take notes. You can put a seam ripper. There's plenty of room to put a seam ripper here. I have printed some vintage images on some old muslin and frayed the edges here. And I was able to keep this just simple and beautiful. I added just a simple little ribbon with a little bit of trim and another little ribbon here. And of course, this has just got some baubles. Just a little bit of fun little bling. There's supplies that, you know, you can cater this to however, you know, whatever you do, whatever you like. And the pockets that I had created here, I decided to make 2 pockets. So while this was open, before it was stitched, I added another piece of fabric that I had applied. This is some pillowcase lace to, and then what I did was stitch this on to hold this pocket so it doesn't fall through. And then I folded this in. And then when I was done with the embellishing on both sides, when it was time to do that, then I stitched around, creating this second little pocket. But I love this. It's just, oh, so pretty. And then I stitched with some of my selvage, doubled together. I stitched a little pocket here, and we've got the needles, and I took I don't recall where I got this, but it's a download, a digital, and it's for sewing. And I just wrapped different threads so that it is a valid actual sewing kit. So it can be used. It's emergency. Sew on a button if you need to. And then turning the page, I have another wonderful image on fabric and have created double pockets here with a vintage lace. And I've taken these button cards and I've wrapped with some vintage lace and with some ribbon that matches. And another economy war pack of needles. This one has different size needles than the other one. And then I have taken some mohair yarn that I have, that I kind of hoard because it's wonderful. And there's another image here, vintage, with the corset, which I thought was just really fun. It's just so pretty. I hope you're getting some ideas, or maybe you've already finished yours, and I'd love to see a picture. Now this is just a beautiful piece of vintage lace that I've topped on a picture. You can flip it up. You can pin things. The way these pages are, I can go ahead and I can do a bunch of pinning. I could have a whole row of pins here. I could pin on some buttons. I could, you can do many, many things with these pages because they're so pliable. And then here is my next page, the inside pockets again on the other side. And I love this double pocket. Love, love, love. I wasn't intending on doing it, but at some point I thought I would do it on this side, and then I did it on both sides. And then here we have, I found a yardage chart and a machine needle guide that I thought, well, that's a cool thing to include in a needle book. So you have a few little references. And then here's a wonderful vintage image, and this is fabric again. And on the other side is a needle cheat sheet. So I thought that was just really fun too. Now this is just something that I thought was beautiful, and I pinned it to this. I just thought it looked pretty. And when I decided I wanted to use this, I had already stitched this pocket, and so this gave me a way to add it without closing the pocket up by my sewing machine. So I stitched these separately, and the frayed is just beautiful. Okay, and then in our back cover we've got, which I thought was very appropriate, we've got this, let's see, let me hold it up here so you can get the full effect. Isn't that great? We've got some scissors. This is in fabric again, printed on fabric. And then we've got some scissors here and some little charms and a butterfly. Now, let's do the test. It's not falling out. Our scissors are not falling out now. That was my goal, you guys. All right. I hope that you have enjoyed this series. And again, I apologize that I was not able to get you more detail on these inside pages, but hopefully you'll be able to look and see enough. I've shown you enough that you can go ahead now and create your own masterpiece. Just a little side note here. Remember the ribbon that I showed you earlier that does not fray? Well, I cut again. I cut that in half, and so I was able to double it this way, and I love this. It gives it such a sweet, lacy look. And then that's one thing you have to be aware of. I wanted to put my closure, my lace, or ribbon actually, in my covers, in between the layers, before I stitched it on. Yeah. And that, my friends, is my current needle book. I will most likely put this in my Etsy shop when I get a chance to take some pictures and get a listing up. It's just, I just have a lot of things going on right now. And just to let you know, we did get a truck and we got our trailer and we're trying to get it all working together so that we can go camping this next week for a couple of days. So, all right, guys, thank you for joining me. Until next video, have a fabulous day. Bye now.